I remember that day vividly. We decided to head out along Middlebrook Road. So it's an out and back ride. It's approximately 40 kilometres. I would probably do that particular route, maybe once, twice a month. There were 3 others. There were Paul Heaton and his daughter Charlotte and Steve Wright, and they're very much a part of the Scone cycling fraternity. We were heading back towards Scone. We started to get a nice speed up to about 35 kilometres an hour, and there's a cattle grid. I've crossed that cattle grid dozens of times, and as a cyclist you understand that there are risks associated with cattle grids. I hit the cattle grid at force. I heard the loudest bang that I've ever heard in my life. Everything went black, and then the next thing I realised, I was in real trouble.
There was a bit of a noise, and you're sort of not sure what the noise was, but you know that something's gone wrong, and you hope it's just a water bottle that's come out or a flat tyre or something like that.
So I was effectively catapulted off my bike and I speared into the road. And if you've seen my helmet, it'll give you a good indication in terms of the force of that. So my front left lobe was the first thing to take the impact. I fractured my C3, C4 and C5 in my cervical spine, and I fractured the L1 in my lumbar spine. And then as soon as the pain hit me, I knew that I was in a really dark place.
Steve and I turned around and looked back, and David was on the ground and not moving. Straight away you think the worst, and then you hear a bit of a noise, a groan, from pain, but that's one of the best noises you can hear because you know he's alive.
My girlfriend who was on the ride with David rang me and just very calmly and casually said, "There's been an accident, I think you need to come." And my first response was, what's happened, is he okay? And she said, I just think you need to come. So I just kind of yelled to the girls that I had to go. Dad had been in an accident, I was just going out to pick him up. I really had no concept of what I was driving into.
We didn't know how badly he was injured, so we just kept him as still as we could and cradled his head so it wasn't moving and waited for the ambulance.
When the ambulance arrived, I was relieved. But then as a wife, I could just focus on trying to get him to the next step rather than worrying about how much pain he was in. So I was just relieved to see all of them.
What I'm led to believe is that it was probably about another, sort of 20 minutes or so till the chopper arrived. I could hear my wife's voice saying, "It's okay, the chopper's here. You'll be fine," right? And the whole crew were being very supportive and encouraging, but as soon as I heard the whirring of the blades and the chopper setting down, that was another milestone. There were, I believe, 2 doctors who were side by side with me and another paramedic, which is just amazing.
I think if they'd had to put him in an ambulance and drive him, just would have been completely different. He would have been longer getting there, he would have been jolted around through the experience, and goodness knows what that would have done to the unstable fractures that he had. Probably the hardest part was watching the helicopter go, and as it was the time of COVID, I wasn't allowed to go with him. I was told I wasn't even allowed to follow because I wasn't going to be allowed into the hospital. To me, the reassurance was from the pilot and from the doctors, and when they were loading David onto the helicopter, one of the doctors said, give us a thumbs up, your girls are going to want to know that you're okay, give them a thumbs up. So I've actually got a photo of him doing that so I could take it home to our children so that they could see that Dad was in a bit of trouble, but it was going to be okay, and they were all working together as a team to get him where he needed to be to get the best help that he could get.
We are so lucky to have that service, and in country areas, we've often said to be in a town like Scone, 20 kilometres out of town on a long weekend, and someone has a crash, and then within an hour or so you've got a helicopter there with a doctor, an emergency paramedic and the flight crew. You can't pay for that. That saves lives.
It has been a major road to recovery at this stage in terms of my mobility. I had to wear a neck brace for over 6 weeks. I needed stabilisation surgery, so that is 2 titanium rods which are held in with 6 screws, and I had over 30 staples in my back as part of that procedure.
David's recovery has been fantastic in as much as he is upright, he is walking, he is fully communicating. He has the same personality he had before, and I can't be more grateful for that. There are bumps in the road on the way, and I think hopefully we'll end up with a whole person again who's capable of doing almost everything he did before. And if nothing else, I'm just grateful that he's still an active part of our family and we can still enjoy his personality even if he can't necessarily get out and mow the lawn like he used to.
I finally got the tick of approval from my surgeon and he said, go and do what makes you happy. Riding my bike makes me happy. There was never a time where I thought I wouldn't ride again. It was just such a freakish accident. There was nothing I could have done to prevent it. I certainly didn't see it coming, and now I'm dealing with the aftermath of that. But I've got to be positive about the fact that physically, I will make a complete recovery, but it will take time. But a big part of that mental recovery as well is being on the bike and getting out there and enjoying the social aspects of that with great people. So that's a real bonus. Where do I begin in thanking those that assisted me, from the very first responders who were my cycling group, to the local paramedics, to the local police force, and especially to the critical care unit of the Westpac Rescue Helicopter. I'm full of gratitude.
I don't know how you say thank you to people that pull a broken person back together. I don't know how you say thank you, but hopefully this helps just by, bringing to light what they do and how wonderful they are.
I will never be able to repay those individuals for what they did for me on that day, and I'm forever in their debt for that. If you have even thought of making a donation or a contribution, just do it, because you never know that you may be the next person, or a loved one of yours requires the intervention of this incredible service. So thank you from the bottom of my heart.